You know, guys, maybe we should lighten up on the millionaires, man. Maybe we should pray for the millionaires and billionaires and pray for their ignorance because they don't help us at the bottom. Maybe we should have more empathy for them. So today, that's what this video is going to be about. Is we're going to touch on wealth inequalities, but also this religious, devotion to the rich and the wealthy, and why us at the bottom spend so much time trying to appeal or align or unify with them. Let's get to it. And in my 33 years of living on this planet, I'll say it first, I've never seen millionaires and billionaires ever have very much empathy for us. I've never seen the system redistribute that wealth and make the world a better place. I've never seen this before, never in human history. I've never seen it where oligarchs or tyrants or people who run societies by capitalizing on enormous groups of people just one day in their hearts say, you know what, we should stop exploiting these people and we should give back to them. And a lot of times people share this idea or spread this idea that not all millionaires are bad, not all billionaires are bad, right? It almost sounds like that same rhetoric we used to hear with all cops aren't bad. And that if we keep our hearts and our minds open to the philanthropy of some of the nice millionaires and billionaires, that could be our pathway to truly creating unity and making the world a better place. And I'm not the one to really advocate for this, right? I wanted to start off mentioning it because, like I said, I've never seen this in human history. And I also found something interesting about how we deify these millionaires and billionaires as if the solution to our oppression somehow has something to do with them, that it relies on them. Going back to my initial point, I've never seen this happen in human history, right? I actually think it's pretty absurd to think that this would even be possible, that out of the goodness of their hearts, because systemically it doesn't show that. None of the bills that are passed that they fund and lobby for to ensure that money never gets redistributed, that it's put in trusts and wills and family offices to ensure that we never get our hands on it as the population of the masses, right? I mean, the mere fact that right now the top 1% in this nation hold over 30%, nearly 50% of the wealth in this country, and that the top 10% of the wealthy in our system hold over 60% of all of the wealth, and that the bottom 50% of people don't have nearly as much as them. I think we hold like aggregately, maybe like 30% under that or something like that. So before I get emotional over that topic, right? Because it's just so absurd. And I think oftentimes the reason why people want to be so aligned with rich people and capitalism is because they have aspirations, right? They have fantasies of being opulent and living a luxurious life one day. So they want this system to exist simply so that they can participate in it at the top, right? And even if that means some people have to be disregarded or even discarded in order for them to make that a reality, they believe that that's, number one, a part of God's plan, apparently. Number two, either a part of human design and our nature, or number three, just baked into the way that commerce is done. And none of these things are true. There's no evidence of any of this. Nowhere does it say that God would allow this. Nowhere does it say in our nature is this natural. And commerce, up until recent history, was never done like this in this exploitative way. These topics get me really passionate, y'all. So if nothing else, just let me know in the comments what you think. You know what I mean? Like this page if you think where I'm going is where you're going, and subscribe if you want to stay on this journey, because I found that even on these platforms, we have like agents who don't want us to organize even on these digital platforms and support one another, because it ruins their opportunity of being able to capitalize on you, be your boss, and be able to make enough money to live this opulent life that I mentioned. And I'll I'll before I move on to my next point, I will say some people think that the best business plan is charging the rich. People like Alex Hormozi, right? Who I've studied his stuff and he has some really good information. But one thing I don't do is take someone's full point of view as my rules in life. I don't live a dogmatic, indoctrinated life. And this goes into where and why I see a crossover, like in two different types of mindsets, right? So we're going to dive even deeper. See, some people say that we just need to get educated, that we could learn from the rich. We could learn more about capitalism. We could learn more about business structure. We could learn more about these things when in reality, the reason why we're not getting money is not because we lack information or education. It's because people created barriers and they created structures that don't allow you to participate in accumulating wealth. It's not an education issue. This is not an information issue. And it almost begins to sound like people are trying to distinguish you morally based on how much education you have, right? Like as if you're a bad person because you're not getting money. And this is the conversation and the talking points of the rich. This is how they talk about you. They talk about you as if you don't have an inherent desire or will or interest in living a healthy, sustainable, meaningful, wealthy life, when it's like they know behind closed doors off them cameras or in them reports that they send to us that they intentionally try to make us poor. I'm going to go back to the beginning where I mentioned, I'm going to go back, right? I'm going to go back to the beginning where I mentioned that in the comment they said that we should pray for the rich. And I'm starting to see a correlation between Christianity and capitalism, where every time the poor wants to revolt or abandon this system wholeheartedly, full stop, the Christians come and advocate for unity and prayer for the rich, right? And it's almost as if it's a form of worship. I've seen this in pagan religions, right? We can look in history and see the evidence of people appealing to and worshiping the ruling class because they believe that their salvation or their upward mobility is related to this. There's something that I would like y'all to look into as far as the prosperity gospel, right? This new form of Christianity where people attribute your morality, your dignity, and your integrity to why you are or not getting money. They use words like, you know, the laws of attraction and abundance and your mindset and the way your relationship with money emotionally, as if there's something inherently wrong with you as a person as to why it's related, why you experience poverty. But anytime you start to talk to these people about actual, evident, structural racism, institutional oppression, they will completely sidestep that conversation and then put the blame back on you, or back on us, I should say, at the bottom, as if we haven't tried our best and made them rich, right? All of our labor that has been extorted is what make millions and billionaires rich. But yet we're the ones with a moral or ethical disconnection with wealth, opulence, abundance, and I guess God's will, if you will. So, in the name of capitalism, subscribe to my Substack, pay me money. You know, stop making the billionaires rich, right? Because apparently the people who like going against my content, they only like making rich people rich, but they still haven't paid for my Substack and spread that money around, right? So for everybody who's listening to this, I give a lot of free value away. But if you want to deep dive, you want to have a personal conversation or actually add value to the platform because you see the value that I'm adding to the conversation, yes, there are ways that you can pay me as well. I have a brand called Still Growing. You can buy merch and stuff like that. But I ain't always running around trying to make money off people. And I'm also not trying to make making money the most important thing, or making it seem like education is the reason why you're not saved, right? Or that somehow your morality is linked to why you're impoverished. But check out the rest of my work if you're interested. I'll see y'all next time.